Okay, so now that we've dealt with the transition from our previous texts and given you some intertextual sort of reading dimensions, just a few riffs on Du Bois himself. So looking at a, you know, brief, looking at the Wikipedia page here. So 1868 to 1963. So he lives a very long life, which comprises a lot of elements of American history. So he is born 3 years after the end of the Civil War. He is born in the North in Great Barrington, Massachusetts. He is born a free man, so he does not suffer under uh, slavery at all. So he's post Civil War in that sense, and he also does not face Jim Crow culture in the South because he's in the North. So there is, of course, a type of Jim Crow culture that is going on in the North. There are discriminatory practices going on in the North as there are in the South, but it's not an institutionalized and systematic system. So, um, yeah, grows up in Great Barrington, Massachusetts. He will eventually get his doctorate from Harvard. Uh, study in Germany, study with some great philosophers and historians in Germany. Comes back, and he starts his career as a teacher, a professor, and as a journalist and scholar. And so one of the first great things that he writes is the Philadelphia Negro. This is in the 1899, late 19th century. He writes this, and this actually takes place. He's in Philadelphia at the time, so he's working at the University of Pennsylvania, and he does a study of a Philadelphia neighborhood, of an African American neighborhood, uh, which is around Fittler Square in that area now. So that was an African American neighborhood, and so he does a sociological study, and it's one of the first sociological studies in America, period, and it's one of the great sociological studies. So, he studies a neighborhood. And he studies a community, and a community that up to that point people had not studied, had not thought worthy of study, and so it provides a lot of interesting information. And then he in the 20th century he's a civil rights activist, largely as a journalist, but he's involved in a lot of protest movements, and eventually will become more and more radicalized through his career.